The opinions expressed in the following podcast are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security or investment product. It is only intended to provide education and entertainment about the financial industry and the stock market. Enjoy.
On this episode of Pennies Going in Raw, we discuss our first ever live event in Reno, and we also talk about some swings popping up like CEI.
You find out life's this game of pennies.
Oh, you guys know we only have a 40% runner. Hello, 40%
Right
is a fucking killing.
We've been compliant for too long. It's time we go to war.
I don't have a Roth.
Hugh knows so much about the market that his brain doesn't have enough room for grammar.
Hey, who told me about IDEX? It's going up a shit ton now.
We're up 4%, baby. No way. 4 fucking percent.
You asked the exact same question with 2 words different.
It's like, man, I just got dick whipped for like 20%, and now that f***er's up like 50.
I bet Warren Buffett never did that.
I'm just making this voice memo to call out unusual whales to a fight.
The pennies we need are everywhere around us.
Pennies.
Going in raw.
Featuring Dan, Deity of Dips,
And Hugh, honey.
Produced by Vinny.
And Christian.
Let's go, baby.
Welcome back to another episode of Pennies Going in Raw. Today is Sunday, September the 12th, and we just arrived back from Reno, Nevada for our live event. The first ever FinTwit live event. It was so fun. Hugh and our intern Christian and our manager Sean had a lot of putting together to do, and it all came together, and it was really, really fun. The first night, we all rode there. I got in from Houston. Hugh got in from Egypt, and we met everyone. We all hung out at a bar in the Silver Legacy Casino, and everyone just got really drunk the first night, and then we all moseyed over to this ballroom area in the Silver Legacy Casino. You know, we have people gambling, we have everyone drinking, and everyone's meeting. You know, everyone got to meet Zach and everything. So we go over to the ballroom for our first little event. Start with just me and Hugh on stage, do a little talking about, everyone knew us there. It was all just FinTwit people the first time, and everyone was hammered, and we just brought up everyone to the panel. Sorry if I'm missing one, but I think it was Bearfucker, Trogdor, Zach Morris, Trent Spider, PJ, me, Hugh,
Manziel.
Verde, Manziel, Tommy, Coops,
Hell, Ross
Dave,
at some point.
Ross, our buddy Ross, Gary. Got there a little late. I'm probably missing someone, but thanks to everyone that got on there and answered questions. That was so cool. And that was like 2 hours. There was so much Q&A, a lot of good questions, and it was a lot of good laughs too. I was up there that night. I got a little tipsy. And then we all had like a little after party in the room right next door, had some music, little dance floor, and everyone was continuing there. And then we went back, everything was near the casino. So every time everyone could just go back to gamble. The next day, a lot of events on campus. Me and Hugh spoke at 2 events. So shout out to all our new listeners from the University of Nevada at Reno. Y'all were awesome. We gave out $1,000 to a guy who's going to start an account. Gave out some money to some other students that are going to start trading. So that's exciting. I can't wait to hopefully hear about how their progress goes. And after all that, we went back to this little spot called the Little Waldorf Saloon and got absolutely torched with like 100 like traders just crowded in a room. It was awesome. So shout out to everyone that came out. It's awesome to see. I mean, we have that PGIR Reno room in Atlas. and just seeing everyone connect in there and trying to get everyone, trying to find the people they met in there if they didn't get their number and stuff. So, it's so cool. Truly amazing. I remember just like a year ago, like I was one of the people like asking, yo, we should have a FinTwit meetup. We should all meet. We should all do something. And eventually I got to kind of be a part of helping put it on. So big shout out to Hugh for, starting this thing by donating $20,000 to the school and getting the business school and their finance school, that thing. And big shout out to their dean, Jeremy, of their business school for allowing us to come.
Yeah, I think that's the beautiful thing about this is that all you kept hearing the entire few days was, I don't know anybody here. Yeah, I just hopped on my flight. I saw someone with like a PGIR hat, and that's how we started to become friends. And, now we were like looking around and it's like, oh, dude, like it was so great meeting you. Like even people that didn't interact on Twitter, they became like great friends in Reno, which is so cool. And that was the point of the event, to bring really like-minded people together. It worked out beautifully. I genuinely, when we were talking about this, we were like, hey, if 30 people show up, like that's a win. And it ended up being so much fun. So many people flying out.
Yeah, I mean, and everyone just kept saying things like, even though I didn't know everyone here, it's like I still knew everyone. Yeah, you didn't know Zach, but you knew who he looked like. You see the guy with blonde hair and tattoos, oh, that's the guy from Breathe, Carolina that used to sleep in his car, So just having everyone just talking to everyone and all that. So, and like you were just saying, like we had so many worries about the thing, especially me. But no, I mean, the amount of people that showed up, Hugh was confident there was going to be that many people. But I was like, dude, we're going to the middle of nowhere, man. Why, no one's coming to this, Like, I was basically telling them, don't be mad. Don't be disappointed if only 30 people show up, because this is, middle of the week, the middle of nowhere. And imagine the awkward conversation with a lot of these dudes talking to their wives. So you're going, is it a college or a casino? Why are you going to Nevada again? And it said,
Hugh's running this?
And
Who?
So do these kids go to the college, or they're speaking at the college? Like, so why is it at the casino? Like, I'd love if anyone had an awkward interaction with their significant other about like what the hell they're doing and how they had to explain it. That'd be, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm exhausted. Next year I won't be flying in from Egypt. I'm exhausted. And then doing the school was really cool because it was like two different sides of this like finance world. With the students, it was like really more basic, and it was hey, open up a credit card. Dan and I went to a class, and I think Dan and I went to a class right before we did the show at the college, and I mean, we just had so much fun interacting. I mean,
the dean was actually, they were worried about me saying, they listen to the podcast. They know the edgy one. And then they were at the event, or the dean was at the event on Tuesday, the FinTwit only event. And he was like, hey guys, if Dan's like that again, we might have to ask him to get off stage. And I was like, look, I understand the difference in a FinTwit event, a college event, and also I'd been drinking for 11 hours. So I did have to, I was tame at this one. And then some girl said, she raised her hand and said, I just started a Roth IRA. And the words that came out of Hugh's mouth, he goes, I could kiss you right now. I was like, no, the hell you can't. No, you're not. And oh my God, the look on the dean's face when he said that to this first year freshman on our third week of school was like, oh, well, there's a talk with HR. And my
dude, I've said it to so many people. So many people. Okay, it's not like a real thing.
Yeah,
it's just, it makes me happy.
Hey, as a gratification, I would kiss you. No, but what I said right after, I was like, hey, who would have thought? Who would have thought it was him, not me? So I was, thank God it wasn't me. I made it through without embarrassing myself, and we got invited back. So I'd call it a success.
Yeah. And I mean, we're already working on the next thing. And that comes into really what we talked about is like, even with trading and even with the podcast, Dan was like, hey, if we can get the podcast to 2 episodes a week, like this will become people's routine. It was like, hey, let's hit 1 million downloads before the end of the year. Let's hit 2 million, and just kept going and kept rolling. And the same thing like trading, like, hey, let me make $50. Let me hit my first green trade. And that's really been like part of the special part for me, because with the podcast, it was like, yeah, like I'll do this. Like I wanted to give back. And then it really in a year turned into this thing where it was like, okay, like let's keep going with this and let's keep hitting that next goal. So, now we just did our first event. We've surpassed millions of downloads, and overall, I'm really just looking forward to what we're going to do next and what we're already working on.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely cool to see everyone get together. We'll try and definitely have one on a weekend sometime. Maybe not have like a ballroom, not a college kind of thing where we can all meet up and, just do our own thing again. We just got to see when it is. But, during the couple days we were gone, well, actually, this is our first podcast we've recorded in a couple of weeks. Because we stacked them up before we left. But in the couple days that we were gone in Reno, it seems like I remember opening my portfolio once on Wednesday and I was like, nope.
Yeah.
Wasn't great. But then Thursday, and I know I haven't said, I've been vocal about not being in CEI. I missed my entry, and I'm cool with that because I'm a patient guy. But it was funny as we were waiting for an Uber I was with Zach and PJ and a couple other people on Thursday. The news came. Yeah, so the news on CEI came out yesterday, and I was with Zach, and it was so funny to see it, his reaction, just going around telling, CEI got news. But the ESG Clean Energy provides exclusive IP license to Viking Energy for use of carbon capture system in all of Canada. The big thing on that one, obviously, all of Canada. And you saw it rip from like 88 or 90 cents or whatever, all the way to, I think it hit $1.45 in after hours. Do you want to touch on the news a little bit?
Yeah, overall, and then from the 8K, from the 8K, because one of the biggest things that people are worried about is an offering. And I'm just reading a tweet from the Trap Laud. Inside the 8K, they said, this communication shall not constitute an offer to sell or solicit of an offer to buy any securities, nor shall there be any sale of securities in any jurisdiction in which such should offer solicitation. So effectively what that means is that they basically said inside an 8K that they are not going to dilute. They're not going to sell shares. CEI is known to sell shares. And, there's two sides to this, is that there's some people who never touch any penny stock or any company really that dilutes. And sometimes it's one of those things where you have to look at it and be like, it's a growth company. And I think it comes back to intentions, like what are the intentions of the company? Is it to sell shares so that they can, boost their payroll, or are they going to sell shares to turn that into revenue? So I think that that's really important. So from the 8K, that's what they said. As far as the news that came out, the news is good because it's exclusive IP license, and that means that somebody wanted to license. Like somebody wanted this product, or one CEI so bad that they paid an exclusive license. So I don't know enough about this Viking Energy, but I think the biggest thing, if you were in CEI, is to find out, who Viking Energy is, how big that market is, so Canada, and then if they don't say, because they don't say the amount that they're going to license it for, try and just call around to different companies and just see like, hey, okay, this is what it potentially, if I was going to do an exclusive license, or if you were going to do an exclusive license, like what would you charge, stuff like that. And then you can kind of see, okay, this is how much CEI is going to get for this revenue. I mean, that's what I would do if I was inside the company. And maybe for next week, maybe that's what I'll do is try and figure out how much the license is for. But from just a standpoint, from a catalyst, I mean, it's really fucking you when someone comes to you and wants to license anything. But an exclusive license for all of Canada, I mean, that's huge. So, it still could be not a big, I don't want to call it like a big deal, but it still could be not really let's call it like a needle mover, but the idea is really good.
Yeah, and I think another thing to kind of touch on, especially when you see something in one day go, what was it, like 50%, and then from the entry, even if you were late at 70 cents, you were up 100% after hours, and then if you were in at laidback's first entries at like 40 to 50 cents, you're up 3 times now. So it's one of those things where no one's gonna tell you when to sell, how to sell. But I mean, the thing is, like, you saw it happen with like AHT, went from 2 to 7, had an offering, and although Zach was holding for 10, just because someone else is holding for, I think his price target for this is 3 to 5, just because that's his. If you're up a good bit and you now lose on it, please don't blame someone else because you were just blindly following their price target. Why do you think his price target is 3? And then it's like, okay, are you going to allow yourself to not take it? I don't know. It's one of those things where it pissed me off so much seeing it with AHT. I really don't want to see it happen again. So, if you need to secure some profits, secure some profits.
Yeah, I think this comes back to one of those things of like, take a free trade, take off your entire cost basis at, let's say, I mean, everybody should be up at least 20%, but let's just say take off your cost basis at 20% and let the shares ride. Now it's like something really has to go wrong for you to lose on this trade. I mean, especially on this trade. I mean, this trade has been beautiful. Take off your cost basis. There's nothing there's nothing wrong with that. And on top of that is that you can have a little more conviction knowing that, you already took off your cost basis. One of the things that usually happens to me is that when I sell some of my position, sometimes I'm like, fuck it. Like, I'll just sell the rest. Like mentally, I'm like, man, like it's not worth it for me to hold this now. But if you can tell yourself like, hey, this is my new position. I took off my initial investment, and now I can play, let's say play a little riskier, maybe get off the bus 2 stops too late, or maybe you hit that home run, something like that. That's the way that I would handle it. 20% gains, boom, take off your initial investment and let the rest go.
Yeah. So scale out if you need to. Take some. Never blindly follow a furu. And don't bitch at them if something bad happens with the stock. I think that's what we got for that one. But have you kind of noticed the market getting a little, I mean, when you're seeing these swings, like all of Fintuit, all of Fintuit seems happy. The market seems great, but although we haven't exactly been as present the past week, what do you think kind of going into this middle part of September?
Yeah, it's really going to depend on what SPY does. SPY is kind of inside this critical range, which at the lunch with Jake from TrendSpider that we did out in Reno, we talked about this. SPY's kind of in that limbo. And I do think that we're going to have a really nice move to the upside, but a few things have to happen. I mean, if interest rates rise or any kind of catalyst that, we could say, is the reason that the market's going up. Yeah, if any of that changes from that perspective, then I think that SPY starts to really, SPY is going to make a correction. I'm not saying like a 30, 40, 50% correction, but like that's something where it could do like an 8, 10% correction almost, pretty quickly, especially because everybody's kind of waiting for that. So, and I think like it's one of those things where they have their finger on the trigger, just waiting for interest rates to rise or a catalyst to change so that they can, they can sell. And what that'll, it just comes down to supply and demand. Now, speaking of SPY, I think that SPY is going to have a great rest of the year. We're at 448 as we're recording this. I could see SPY like 480. I personally don't want SPY to get close to 500 because at that point it's like, holy shit, like SPY is really just almost tripled. So, me personally, I would like just a small gradual staying inside a range, an upward trend where it goes up 5%, SPY goes up 5% green, comes back, retests 2%, 5%, 2%, something like that. That's super healthy. The other thing is that a lot of these companies inside that the SPY covers, Fortune 500, they're really close to a breakout. You look at Disney, you look at Amazon, you look at Microsoft. Some of these companies are really close to a breakout, and so if they break out, SPY is going to go with it. So I think that that's really important to note as well. Is that you got to follow this. Also, QQQ looks good, so I think that SPY should be hot into the end of the year. But I really don't want to get into one of those situations where SPY just gets so exasperated and flies to 500. I really wouldn't want to see that.
Yeah, and after you just mentioned a little supply and demand, and also TrendSpider, we do want to have him on the podcast soon because you did have that lunch with them. And speaking of supply and demand, I thought what was super interesting was talking about along with the raindrops and everything was, with Tesla just continuously going up these past 5 months with the volume just slowly going down. I think talking about with him would be super valuable for a lot of the listeners that missed the lunch.
Yeah, exactly. No, he's great. He does. I love to look at the charts that he puts out it's like 2 or 3 times a week. He puts out these charts and he updates them, and I love that. Same with Investors Live, his scan, that's part of my routine. It's just, seeing what these guys are looking at, seeing the updated charts, because that just gives me a good, I'm not trading Microsoft all the time, hardly ever, but this gives me a really good perspective and, I get to see where everything is and just kind of have it familiar.
Well, as we're kind of going into the last little bit of the year, the last, 3.5 months or so, do you think of anything you, as a newer investor, you should do tax wise? We're getting to this point. Let's say you started trading, maybe last year, maybe you're a COVID trader, but you didn't really start getting profitable till this year. Maybe you started with the meme stocks in January and February. What kind of advice would you give those guys for what they've got coming with taxes?
Yeah. So the first thing that I like to do is actually right around now. God, I can't believe it's been 2 weeks since I've slept inside my bed. I'm looking at it September 10th. I thought it was August. So the thing that I like to do inside September is that I like to pay off half of my tax bill. Okay. What that does is that secures me. Okay. One of the issues that a lot of people run into is that you need to get rich twice. I know the saying is, you only need to get rich once, and that's true, but truly you need to get rich twice, because I know from my state, New Jersey, we pay 9% in state income tax. By the end of, if you make $700,000, you're left with $400,000. That's basically taking a 50% haircut. So there's that part to it. Okay. And what sometimes will happen is guys will, make $1 million, $2 million from 200 grand, let's call it. So they'll have this massive tax bill by the end of the year. They'll go into the next year and they'll lose it all before they pay taxes. Well, you still owe that money. So you end up blowing yourself up because of the taxes. I think it's super important to lock your gains. Yes, I understand wanting to compound and wanting to get that money to really good use, and that's fine. Use a little bit of margin. But don't fuck with the IRS. Like, they will get their money. They will. And they don't care if you got lucky trading and then you came back and lost it all. They don't care, to be frank. So, pay off right now half of your tax bill. Then you're secure. Okay, you at least have half of it paid off. Then, if you start to have a bad year, bad rest of the year, you paid off half of your taxes. Maybe your tax bill isn't even that much anymore. Okay, then you get like some back, stuff like that. Or you kill it into the rest of the year. You already have some paid off, and then you pay off the rest, and you just keep going on your way. But don't let taxes be the thing that blows you up. Okay? It takes 1 or 2 losses with, 40% tax rate to be back at like, a small account size to where you can't make enough money, where if you made 10% of your account, it doesn't move the needle. Don't be one of them people.
Yeah. One of the scariest things and the worst things you could do, like, let's say your first whole year trading, you make $100,000 and then you make a $50,000 mistake in January. How exactly are you paying your taxes? And if you do, like, let's say you pay them, you're going under PDT now.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's what I mean, is that like trading is already so difficult. I mean, if you don't pay your taxes and you lose money, I mean, it truly can get scary really quickly. I mean, even I took that big loss in January and I paid the rest of my tax bill, and it was like my account was down like 40%. And I was like, holy shit. Like, if I take a few more bad losses, like, I'm going to be like living with mom again.
No, I think another cool thing, and you just saw someone do it. ESQ Trading just hit $1 million recently, and just a couple days ago, they just took out $250,000. Most people, if they hit that $1 million or something, they're not withdrawing unless it will not take them under that $1 million. Just
Exactly.
Sometimes you got to say, hey, yeah, I hit this mark. But just because I go under it, you just withdrew it. Stop thinking of like this money as some like this number. I love that from that Adeline interview.
Yeah, and I mean, ESQ, super proud. Incredible. I mean, they really did everything right. If you look at the chart, the days that the market really wasn't hot, or in the months that the market wasn't hot, they made like 1% of their account.
Yeah, stay consistent.
But staying consistent. And then when the market was hot, you can tell that they just had risk on. I mean, they hit it when it was hot. They struck while iron was hot. That's the saying, right? Yeah. And then when it was slow, it was making, just making a few dollars. And I was like, wow, like, honestly, I need to get better at that, because you could literally see like March, April, May, like when it was slower, like, almost no growth, but no losses. And then when it was hot, like January, February, August, they had done a big amount on their account. So cool. I think a lot to learn from them, and just congrats.
Do you just keep using the pronoun they and them because you don't know if it's a girl or a boy?
I heard that it was a woman, but I didn't.
She says it under every post whenever someone's like, way to go, dude. She's always like,
oh, really?
No, yeah, definitely.
Oh,
but hey, there you go. No,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to.
No, I mean, it's 2021. You do have to be. I think that's progressive of you.
Thanks, bro.
Mm-hmm. So another fun. This is one of the more fun things, instead of like paying your taxes early. Is anything under $2,500 that you use for trading, you can write that shit off. Phones and monitors. TV screens. Oh, yeah. And hey, I'm not, and hey, we're not financial advisors, and we're definitely not, accountants.
Oh my
CPAs.
God, no.
No, but
we don't want to be.
No, but I like to be creative. No, take that out, Vinny. If I were, you can be creative. Do you use your TV for trading? I do. The one behind, and I'm gonna get audited off this podcast maybe. No, but I think that's just one of the big things is get the shit you need for trading because the government clearly wants you to trade. They're like, hey, buy this desk, buy this monitor, iPad.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the best thing that you can do for your taxes, no matter the cost, is get a really good CPA. I mean, that's the best thing that you can do.
Oh yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. Get a good CPA, pay for it. You pay for what you get. This is something that you don't
first
stinge out
year
on.
and stuff. If you're just trading or if you just had losses, like my first year trading, so like 2019, I just used TurboTax. I had TurboTax at all, and it's super easy if you're new to trading and you're like, oh wow, I don't want to pay $500 for an accountant. I've always just done this, online. Yeah, you can keep doing it on there, and you don't have to enter like every single trade and every profit. That'd be insane. All you have to do is they have like a do you trade or do you invest, and you say yes. It's like, what app do you use? Webull. You enter your login and then just transfers it all. Or your like TD Ameritrade will send you one and it'll say, hey, this is yours for the year. You right click, you save that, and you just super, super simple. It's no more difficult than just entering your W-2 or whatever you get. So don't be afraid to use TurboTax if you're not, making big bucks yet.
Yeah, I think anyone that has made over like, let's call it like $30,000. I mean, that's a significant amount of money. Under that, you can kind of you can do well, but anything over that is when you should hire a professional. Hopefully you have a professional, but if it's one of those things like Dan was saying, where it's not a huge amount of money, and you have like your W-2, something like that. Yeah, that's fine. Because back to the tax return. I mean, back to the tax write-off thing. There's so many different things that you can do that I had no idea that this was even like legal, really. Like I really didn't know that you could depreciate. Like when I first started trading, I had no idea what depreciation was, or that you could depreciate something, and that can bring down your tax liability. Little stuff like that. And I mean, it's just so important to hire a good professional.
Taking your hotel you own out of poor housing units so you can make it a loss and write it off on your tax. Isn't that what Trump's dad did? I watched this thing. Yeah. He did a lot of real creative shit to like give all his kids shit without like them paying any taxes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I mean Trump is I mean his tax. I mean, the way that he handles his tax, or I guess his people.
I mean, like how his dad gave all of his assets to him was nuts.
No, exactly. But the way that Trump does it, I mean, when I found out that Trump literally just has a casino and he makes sure he loses money. Yeah, I was like dumbfounded. I was like, why? But
I don't think that casino is ever like doing great though. Like, I don't think that was like his choice of it doing like amazing.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it made me think, like, maybe I'll just open up some, movie theater.
But I mean, like, hey, you could just open it, and if it doesn't work, fuck it. I mean, like, let's be honest. Do you think you'd be like the best movie theater manager?
Yes, dude. Look at me. I would be how you doing? My name's Mitch. Welcome to Mitch's Movies.
Mitch's Movies. Mitch's Movies and Dan's Drive-In.
He beat direct competitors or something. No, but seriously, guys, as far as the taxes go, I hate taxes. I mean, I like paying my fair share.
What do you think about like paying them off, like doing the payment system, like, hey, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, and
definitely.
Isn't that the opposite of what you're suggesting though? You're suggesting pay them early.
No, I think you should pay them early, and that's just because I've seen way too many traders blow up, and that's just in my experience. That I've seen so many guys blow up because the money just went. So I think for me, like that's what I think. But yeah, I mean, hey, listen, if you have like a separate, let's just call it, you have a separate income, you have a separate, side hustle, and you make that consistent cash, and that that your risk is. The way that you trade is less risky than most people, and you will never blow up, something like that. Like, that, and you're confident.
Yeah, so then you can keep compounding your gains in your profile and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know like a lot of people did it in 2020. Like, hey, I'm paying my 2019 taxes over time because I need all the money I can because this market is nuts.
Yeah, exactly. And I totally understand that. I've seen so many traders that just come to the market, they make some money, and then tax day comes and they have a few bad losses, and now all of a sudden they owe more than they have. And I just don't want to see anyone get into that situation, because that is the only situation where you potentially cannot come back from for years. And that's because you now just went into debt because you made money.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what else probably sucks is right as you hit PDT, tax season comes up.
Yeah. But again, and that's the thing is that when you take it from your account and just understand
my snooze setup.
Take it from your account, and it's okay to take from your account. Like Dan was saying that, you don't need to always be over that million forever. I used to get all wrapped up about, I want to be over this million, I want to be over like 250K. I want to be over 2 million, stuff like that. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
They're good checkpoints to make, but just
But it's fine, think about it on a chart. You break through resistance, now you come back and, you're testing resistance again. Like at the end of the day, guys, if you're staying profitable, you're staying consistent, you'll be back there. Even if it takes 3-6 months, like that's fine. That's not that amount of time. That's not a crazy amount of time, Like the way that I try and think about it is that, taxes, if you're paying 30%, that's 30% of the year of trading that just goes to the government. So if it takes you 3-4 months to recuperate that money, like that's what it should hypothetically be. That's the distance. That's the amount of time that it should be for.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, we'll come back on Wednesday with some power episodes. I've got my parents coming in town, and Hugh woke up like 7 hours late. So,
dude, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, me too. I'm ready to. Thank God my parents are here, so I have an excuse like not go out. I can just go to sleep early.
I got Bree Carolina tonight, baby.
Dude, that's how I was like, he's got to wake up, because on Saturday, me and my parents are going to do stuff. I'm like, well, I could probably do it Saturday morning, but he's not going to wake up then neither. But no, also guys, I've seen a lot of people been getting their new PGIR merch. If you don't have it, don't worry. I literally haven't gotten mine yet. My shirts. So they're coming. They're coming. And, if you get worried, message PGIR pod, not me or Hugh, because that's our intern's job.
Yell at him.
Yeah, for real.
He takes it way better.
That is, yeah. But again, big shout out to him, though, for all his hard work in Reno. I called him one time. I was like, dude, where are you? We're all eating breakfast and stuff. He's like, I'm in my room doing homework. I almost room service to a beer. Like,
Kid is so impressive. It's one of those things where it's like, we always thought so highly of him. And then we got to Reno and we're like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, come to dinner. He's like, oh, like I got work to do. And I'm like, for who?
He's like, for y'all.
He's like, yeah. So cool. So awesome. Him, Sean killed it. Sean is going to have a little girl in 2 weeks. And for anyone that wasn't at Reno, Sean is our business manager. He's going to have a baby in 2 weeks, and he came out to Reno because he wanted to make this event as big of a success as it was. And I was like, really? Like, you'll come out? And he's like, yeah, man, of course. So shout out to him. And the craziest part, during the craziest time of his life, he decided to take us on and help us out. So huge shout out to him and Christian. Vinny, we missed you, brother. And we're looking forward to the next event.
Yeah. And again, big shout out to all the people that came out and everyone that wanted to come out but missed it. And especially to all our friends. I couldn't imagine having the guys like a year ago, Zach Morris on stage with us, and people like Carolina, like DJs I liked in middle school. Love you, Tommy and Dave. All right, guys, we'll see y'all Sunday or Wednesday, and take care. Have a good week.